What's up? What's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rilla, W.T.F, Rilla with the fangs, Rilla with the whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? But today we're gonna get into the topic of love. You know what I'm saying? While I do a piece for y'all, we're gonna get into the topic of love. Specifically because this piece that I'm doing is a gift for a wedding. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, we're gonna get into this piece and we just gonna discuss our perspective, or my perspective, let's say, on love. And y'all can give me feedback, see what, you know what I'm saying, see if you mess with what I'm saying, or if you don't, you know, I'm open either way, just let me know. So we're gonna get into this. All right, so basically what we have today is we supposed to be doing the moon. With that being said, I need to recheck this picture real quick, so just give me a second. All right, so we back in business, you know what I'm saying? We about to use this big canvas right here. It should be a size, as I'm correct, for anybody guessing, 30 and 40. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start doing this wedding gift, you know what I'm saying? The wedding gift is for my, my brother. You feel me? It's for my brother, my actual brother. This is my blood brother, you feel me? So it's for him and his fiance, you feel me? So I thought it would just be nice to give something that represents the both of them. So, we're just gonna start and we're gonna talk about love. We're gonna chat shit up. We're gonna talk about love, man. The topic today is love, man. So basically, I got a couple of colors I'm gonna work with. A couple of colors I've been had for a while. And what we're gonna do, have this dark blue. I got this dark blue. I got this black. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna start with the background. So as I start with the background, we just chop shit up. We'll just chop it up and then see where it goes from there. So let me pull out all my colors before we get this thing started. Feel me? All right, so boom. Now that we got this shit going, we gonna start. And I'm gonna get into this. I'm gonna start doing the background. And then I'm watching this reference video as we do this. And I ain't too prideful to say it. I ain't too prideful to say it. I'm not like every other artist where I come fully prepared, because art at the end of the day is an act of freestyling. You know what I'm saying? In a sense, we take our steps to create what we create, but it's still an act of freestyling in our minds, and then we put it on whatever we put it on, canvas, paper, whatever. So with that being said, we're gonna get into this. Enough chatting. All right, so over here we real resourceful, I'm not gonna lie. We got a Home Depot bucket so we can start this shit. All right, so we're gonna look at this reference picture and get into this thing, man. But yeah, man, the topic love is such a tough topic. You know what I'm saying? It's like a touchy topic, but at the same time, it's such a necessary topic as well. You feel me? I ain't gonna lie, y'all. It's been a couple of months since I spray painted though. I'm gonna be completely honest with y'all, man. But I love to do it. It's one of the first things that got me back into art. Speaking of love, right? We got love for everything. We got love for our passion. We got love for, people around us. But specifically today, the topic will be about our love relationships, in the sense of whether it be people around you, whether it be a significant other, you know what I'm saying? Me personally, I think love is a beautiful thing. And honestly, coming from me, I ain't never thought I'd really say that. But, it's a very controversial topic, because everybody has their own perspective on what it should be, you feel me? And that's perfectly fine. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what makes love so unique to everybody, you feel me? It makes it something that you can't replicate it. The way you love somebody can't be replicated, no matter who they try to find, you feel me? And going about it your way is the best way to go about it, you know? But at the same time, we also got to understand who we love and what we love, how we love, right? Yeah, man, we got to understand who we love and how we love and what we love. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the times, especially, you know, in our generation, it's very common for toxic love and, you know, all types of love. But we shine so much light on the toxicity that we don't really talk about the other side of love, like when it comes to marriage and non-lustful relationships and very much thriving relationships and what it takes. You know, a lot of the times we speak on relationships like it's some type of ABCD thing that, you know, you're just supposed to understand, but it's really not. And coming from a person like me, I was in a very lustful state in single place for the vast majority of my life. I'm currently in a relationship with my lovely girlfriend, you know, but I wasn't always there, you feel me? I wasn't always that type of guy. I wasn't always the guy that seen it that way. I didn't feel like, you know, I was ready for anybody. And I kept to that. And at the end of the day, it started to catch up as an excuse, to be honest with y'all. It started to catch up as a major excuse because all I noticed that I didn't want to work on that category. I didn't want to do what it took to maybe be that good significant other to somebody. You feel me? Hold on, y'all. Bear with me. My caps is being dried up and I ain't been able to use these in a couple of months, man. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. So we getting back into the groove of things, you see me? But yeah, man, like, you know, I wasn't really somebody who adored the thought of locking myself down to anybody. And I seen it as a lockdown as well, you know? I seen it as something that wasn't gonna be beneficial. It was actually gonna be harder than being by myself. But when I was by myself, I found it was actually harder to deal with just myself and nobody to talk to as well. You know, your significant other, you gotta like them before you get with them. You know what I'm saying? You gotta like somebody before you love them. And a lot of the time we go looking for somebody with these rules of standards. And I'm not saying don't have standards. Definitely have standards out there because people be going for anything. But go with also who correlates with you. You might not like every trait that they have, but at the same time, if this person is somebody that's willing to learn what you, build with you, and y'all have a certain type of chemistry, but they don't check off everything in your box, you're never gonna find somebody that check off everything in your box. Because at the end of the day, that big X factor you looking for, it ain't out there. I'm gonna be completely honest with y'all. It's not out there. And, you know, as we get older, we start to realize that as well. We start to realize like, yo, there really ain't too much motherfuckers out there. There really ain't too many folks out there, you know? And as time goes on, as we get older, we start to beat ourselves up about, you know, where we at and where we not at and what we doing and what we not doing. And don't even get me started with the crowd around you. You know what I'm saying? If you have that type of crowd around you, well, you don't have correct discernment. Oh yeah, like I said, y'all, we resourceful over here. We use everything. But yeah, like I said, if you don't have the, you know, the correct discernment when it comes to just what you want out of this life and who you want out of this life, you know? Like we can sit here as much as we want and try to nitpick at that and be like, you know what, man, like, I'm this type of dude and I need this type of girl. Whole time, that's not the case, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I come from just a little bit about me. I come from you know, a struggling upbringing. I don't want to put too much emphasis on it, but I learned how to better myself before I got with somebody and while I was with somebody. You feel me? And I tried it the first time around with the first person I got with. It didn't work out too well. And that's perfectly fine, because that's what growth is, you know? At the end of the day, that's what growth is, and that's what gets us to where we need to get to. And keeping true to what you want out of this life, keeping true to the type of person you want out of this life, and the type of person that you're becoming is most important. You feel me? That's highly important, because that's what keeps you original. That at the end of the day is what's going to attract that loving person to you. Attract that person that's not just going to be loving you, but liking you, and become your best friend. You know, that's why love is such a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful thing, because we get to find out so many things about ourselves that we didn't even think we could be like. You know, even as we grow old, like, love is one of them things that you could be 63, 64, 65, and still figuring out how to love the person you with, or still figuring out how to grow with the person you with, let's say, you know? And I feel like that's what makes it such a beautiful thing, because it's a never ending learning process. But once you feel like you've learned it all, or understood it all, or understand it all, it now becomes a ball game of your perspective fighting against the person that wants to grow with you. You know, like, life is such a gracefully and beautiful thing. Like, I promise y'all, man, life is such a beautiful thing. But a lot of the times we take away the beauty out of life because we focus on what's more comfortable to do. We focus on, like, even with love, we focus on what's more comfortable to do. We might find, you know, being lustful a lot easier to do than, you know, not being lustful. You feel me? And that alone sets us back so much time, because then we say, you know, I'm gonna get with somebody when I'm ready. And that's perfectly fine. I feel like you should have those standards, but how long can you prep for something, right? It's like me making this video right now. How long can I prep for it? How long can I say, I'm gonna wait till I have this, I'm gonna wait till I have that? It's not gonna work that way, bro. Like, it's gonna be a lot harder, because all that time you spend in prepping, you could spend that time learning, baby. You could spend that time learning. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, they gonna end, and that person you looking for, they gonna find somebody. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna find somebody, and you can't be mad when it happened like that. You know, you can't be mad at the person for moving forward and wanting more out of life, or wanting better out of life. You feel me? Because nobody's obligated to wait for you, man. Nobody's obligated to wait for you. And right now, you know, especially for the younger crowd, I think it's very important to work on yourself. It's hard for you to find somebody, stop looking. You know, if it's harder for you to find somebody, stop looking. And the reason why I say stop looking is because as long as you work on yourself, the right person is going to come your way. Without a doubt. I promise you, without a doubt. And when that right person comes your way, you're going to know how to go about it. You're going to know how to change and grow yourself to not just adjust to the person, but for y'all to grow together, intertwine that chemistry. You know, the reason why lust is so dangerous is because it's energy exchanging that we do with people on a daily basis. So when you lustful with somebody just to get something out of the situation, doesn't mean you can't achieve it. And I've been there. You can achieve it. That's not the issue. The issue is that, you know, once you achieve it, where does it go from there? You know, what also the consequences that come with achieving it. Because lustful people love to make decisions without thinking about the consequences. And I can tell you that for sure. You know? All right, y'all, hold on. Let me lock in real quick, y'all. You see me? My fault, y'all. I mean, still trying to learn how to, you know, multitask when it comes to this, especially how this is is a freestyle, you feel me? But yeah, man, you know, being lustful can only get you so far. You're gonna keep looking up and feeling extremely lonely. You know, you're gonna have those moments of being lonely, and instead of, you know, saying, you know, hey, look, man, let me work on myself, let me figure out what I could do with myself to stop feeling lonely. Spend time with yourself. Before you learn to spend time with anybody, you gotta learn to spend time with yourself, man. Honest to God, you gotta learn to spend time. Yeah, man, before you learn to spend time with anybody, you gotta learn to spend time with yourself. But not only just spend time with yourself, you gotta be okay with spending time with yourself. You see what I mean? Like, love is such an important factor because, you know, the first thing we think of when we think of love is loving somebody else, but we can't love somebody unless we love ourselves. And it sounds cliche. It sounds like the most typical shit you could probably hear. But at the same time, it's really like that. The simple shit, the simple stuff sounds the most cliche, but it's the most useful in your life. It's the main things that you could break down, because something so simple can split into something so complex and become something so complex if you allow it to. Especially the categories that come with simplicity as well, you know? Like, for example, marriage, man. Like, marriage is to me, I feel like marriage is it's a very touchy subject, you know? Because it can offend a lot of people, and it can also, you know, depending on what you think about marriage is what you'll get out of it, I feel like, you know? It's a very touchy subject because everybody who marries has different outlooks on what life should be, you know? And when you get married, you bring these certain type of people around you that you're used to communicating with and seeing, and, you know, you got to make sure that whoever you bring around yourself during a marriage or during being with somebody, a soul tie, a soul contract, a soul connection, that the people you bring around them, you still make sure you protect that person, you know? Still got to make sure you protect that person. You still got to make sure that people that just don't walk over whoever you with, you know? It's love can be so complex, man. It can be so complex, but so simple. I feel like, you know, and even with this video, like the love for art, the love for one another, the love for a significant other, the love for your parents, the love, you know, these things, love teaches us so much different things. It teaches us how to set boundaries. Because we love some people so much that we don't know how to set our own boundaries. We love some people so much that we couldn't fathom living life without them. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, as dangerous as love can be, it can be just as useful. Just like anything. You know, you can't run your whole life away from it. It's going to catch up to you like anything else. You run from something, it's going to catch up to you. So you might as well take the time, figure out who you are, figure out how you like to love, figure out what works for you when you love somebody, and figure out how that's going to correlate with the next person you get with whenever you get with that person. Don't think too much about it. Just let it happen. Let it happen, man. Let it happen. You know? But speaking of the painting, man, I ain't gonna lie. We executed this a little quicker than I thought, you feel me? But, you know, like I said, man. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm getting into that lock-in mode. That lock-in mode, you know what I'm saying? That mode where you don't really even talk that much. You feel me? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Y'all, you know, speaking of love, you know what I'm saying, since that's the topic for today. And you know, this series that I started, I'm gonna be honest, for the sake of love, I started this series because I talk to people on a day-to-day basis, you know, and I have really great conversations with the people that I'm surrounded by. And, you know, that's a very important factor when you're around people you care for or love, you know? So at the end of the day, I started this series because I'm not starting this YouTube channel just because I want the views or I want the money. I mean, if that comes with it, that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to sound cliche, I'm just being honest. That comes with it, comes with it. But really, I started it because I had to switch my mind frame into, I want a biography or discography or documentary, whatever you want to call it, that I could look back at, and my kids could look back at it someday and be like, okay, this is what my dad thought about love, or this is what I thought at that time about love. And maybe, you know, as time goes on, we grow, we change, and, you know, just the fact that that is something that, you know, just to see your growth, you know, like imagine you're 80 years old and you get to look back at like the day and age we live in right now. It's so cool, bro, because it's like, as fucked up as it might be or as messed up as it might be, it's so cool because it's like you get to create things and do things that, you know, document things that other generations didn't get to do. You feel me? Like you get to look back and be like, yo, like, I really thought this way at 20 or 21 or 19 or whatever the age may be, you know what I'm saying? 25, 26. And you could really have that evidence, you know what I'm saying? If something was to ever happen to you, you got a bunch of evidence. So I'm really making this channel as real as who I am, as my persona, because I want to be able to look back and be like, okay, this is what I thought at 21 about love. You know what I'm saying? This is what I thought at 21 about just life. You know, just life in general, you feel me? I ain't gonna lie, this thing heading into a great direction. No cap. No cap, man. This shit going into a great direction, bro. But yeah, y'all. Don't settle your love for where it's at. Because love is meant to grow. It's meant to grow with you as you mature and as we grow into ourselves as well, you know? And if we allow it to, it will flourish into something so beautiful beyond our own imagination. Like, not to put too much business out for my brother. And if he see this, you know, just to let you know, I ain't trying to put your business out. But, you know, he been with his girl since 16. That's a beautiful thing, man. Like, dog, that's a beautiful thing, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's tough. That's tough. But but nobody's gonna tell you that story without there being rocks in the road. You feel me? Nobody's gonna tell you that story without there being trial and error. You feel me? But we look at all these things, and, you know, especially with nowadays, we have such short dopamine. We look at all these things that, you know, these long relationships, maybe it's an older couple, and we think like, yo, like, you know what I'm saying? We start to think like, man, they've been with each other so long, I want to be with somebody that long, right? But then when you think of it, it's easy. But when it's time to actually do the work, a lot of people don't want to do the work, bro. A lot of people don't want to do the work, man. You feel me? And I think that's the part of this thing where we got to start shining more light on. That's the part of this thing where it's like doing the work is the beautiful part. Doing the work is the part that gets you the results. Doing the work is the part that, you know, we can't sit here and blame everybody else for why we not doing something no more. You feel me? We can't sit here and be like, oh, well, I don't love people because men don't know how to love or women don't know how to love. Like, that's at some point, at some age, bro, that becomes pathetic. Hands down, I'm just gonna tell you like that. You can't be 35, 40 plus still talking about blaming people for why you don't love or you not with somebody, you know? And being with somebody don't gotta be your top priority. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that if you're gonna choose to be with somebody, make sure that you ready to grow. You ready to make something out of it, not just use the person for what it is. Don't just use people and expect to gain everything and not lose nothing. Because even if you leave the person, you're still gonna lose something up. Like, you still gonna lose something, regardless of what you think, regardless of how you think it's gonna go. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. I'm just happy to be back locking into this spray paint. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, like, y'all don't even know, it's been a minute. Like, I've been prepping my desk. I got my desk done. I got, all my stuff done so far. Like, man, it's great to be back, man. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Super great to be back right now. And even, let's talk about love for passion, right? Love for your passion, love for something that you trying to figure out how you gonna make something out of it. Like what I'm doing right now. Like how are we gonna make something out of it? How are we gonna get somewhere with this? How are we gonna reach people, right? When you do something for yourself, make sure it start with yourself. As crazy and easy as that might sound, make sure it start with yourself. If you have a passion for something, start it with yourself. If you doing something and calling it a passion because your family might have wanted you to do it, or somebody else might have said that's a great thing to do, or you've been doing it for so long because somebody told you it'd be great to do, man, you're never too late to stop. You're never too late to stop and start something that you actually want to do. Hands down. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Hands down, man. That'll be such an insane wake-up call. But the blessed part is that you get to wake up from it. Anybody could wake up from anything. You know what I'm saying? Anybody could wake up from just wanting better for themselves, wanting to love themselves more, wanting to care about themselves more. You feel me? But you gotta want to do it. You gotta be like, man, I've been on this road too long. You feel me? I've been on this road way too long. And what I'm not finna do is continue like this. What I'm not finna do is allow anybody to dictate my love or my passion for something where I'm at. I talk to a lot of, outside of doing art, I box, I do a bunch of different things, but I talk to a lot of younger people, and they always looking for the quickest way to go make some bread, man. And that's perfectly fine, bro. Like, at that age, I was grinding too, bro. I can't even lie to you. Might have not been doing stuff I was supposed to do, but I was still grinding, you feel me? So it's nothing wrong with doing that type of stuff. It's just about how you go about it, especially in our community, because, we want things so fast that sometimes it messes us up. Because when we don't see instant results, we give up. As crazy as that might sound, if we don't see instant results, we give up. And that's just messed up, man. Because it's so many of us that could really build wealth with the love that we got for things. You know what I'm saying? We could really build some shit, just community in general, with the love that we got for things. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot harder for us to do when, we too fixated on what the next man got, who the next man with, who the next man, you know what I'm saying? The next man, anything, really. The next man in general. You can't get nowhere with focus on the next man, you know what I'm saying? Or the next woman, let's say. Yeah, man. Get into this growing. Be sure this dried up. Yeah, we good. That's one thing I love about spray paint, man. Speaking of love. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep mentioning it to y'all, man. Y'all gonna learn. With me, it's just a vibe, man. We freestyle everything. We don't really come in here super constructed. And you know what I'm saying? To the book. Like, I'm not like every other content creator that has like a rule book. You feel me? So, and I don't even want to label myself no content creator. I'm gonna be completely honest with y'all. I know that sounds cliche or corny, but like personality wise, I'm not really like, I ain't really trying to get this shit fast. If it happens, it happens. You feel me? Oh yeah, man. It's a great time. I feel like, for people to just be out here trying stuff, man. Just try things, man. It ain't gonna hurt nobody. It won't even hurt you. Might feel like it is, but it won't. I promise you. Feel me? Like even right now, I'm doing this. So a lot of people would be considered messing it up. But that's what art is. It's unique. Ain't no such thing as messing it up, man. Just making it better. And I think that might be just about it for me. These the finishing touches, y'all. Not gonna lie. I'm gonna see y'all in the next video. Even though I don't know y'all, love y'all, man. You know, love whoever supporting me, supporting you back with whatever I can, you know. And, you know, it's your boy Rilla. First video, Art and Love. Chapter 1 is just yet to come. Episode 1 and done.